Her image is distorted, screaming, is it worth it anymore?
Go ahead and record. So we are recording the June 11th, 2016 Think and Grow Rich call. We have a special guest. Since Eric is on the West Coast, I had to talk to him yesterday to get this recorded. He doesn't want to get up early on Saturday morning because this is like around...
Hello?
6 o'clock in the morning? Yes, hello? Can you hear me okay? Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Did I freeze? Okay. Did I freeze or can you hear me okay? I guess nobody can hear me. All right. So let's go to... Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, you're cutting in and out.
All right. The connection here is kind of crappy, so I'm just going to hook this up to my my Wi-Fi that's at almost... Okay. So can everybody hear me better now?
Sound more good.
All right. So go ahead and what you may want to do is mute yourself. Wait, first what we're going to do is we're going to start with a statement or two to get everybody's in the right vibrations. So let's see. Toby, since you're showing up first on my screen, would you go ahead and start us off with your statement? For those of you that don't know what a statement is, it's a definite main purpose statement or definite major purpose statement. It is found in the chapter on desire and Think and Grow Rich. And we've made some major changes to it. This is a statement that's been tested over 35 years and encompasses the 4 areas of life. And you'll hear that as Toby recites his. So whenever you're ready, Toby.
You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, man.
It is 21 December 2016, and I, Dr. Torbjorn Stanson, the Rocket Man Bergstrom, am so happy and grateful now that I am receiving at least $100,000 monthly in residual income from book sales, real estate investments, and other business interests. I easily and effortlessly accomplish my daily tasks, which include writing for 2 hours, focusing on marketing for 1 hour, posting at least 1 video, following up with 2 clients and 4 prospects. This year alone, I have helped over 20 consulting clients improve their profitability. I've acquired 5 manufacturing companies, 4 commercial properties, given over $100,000 in charitable contributions. I have become a WPI trustee. I maintain 165 pounds by eating right, exercising daily. I have a loving relationship with Shui. I include her in my decisions, sharing my successes and my failures, knowing that together we form a mastermind that can create anything we desire. I experience joy each day, knowing that what I'm doing is being of service to others and to myself. I am a loving, lean, worthy, beautiful, respectful, scheduled, organized, laser-focused leader who completes all of my tasks and meets all of my deadlines. As a result of my genuine efforts and understanding the universe, I am experiencing an unparalleled freedom of time, money, love, personal growth, and contribution. I travel by private jet, and I enjoy bringing family and friends to locations around the world. And I am pumped when I drive my jet black V12 bi-turbo S65 Mercedes. I am now envisioning daily planning and organizing for my plan to establish a net worth of over $100 million, living with my family on the island of Kauai, purchasing a Gulfstream G550, and giving over $30 million to support manufacturing education. Thank you, God, for it is done.
It is done.
It is done.
Done, done, done. Done.
It is done. Outstanding. Let's get one more statement in there. Brent, would you like to do the honors?
I certainly will.
Awesome.
It is my birthday, June 3rd, 2017, and I, Brent Bruce Wayne Clampett, am so happy and grateful now that I'm receiving at least $25,000 in residual monthly income from my global travel business and all other income streams. I easily and effortlessly accomplish all my daily tasks, which include at least sending 3 new rate quotes, finalizing 3 sales, processing 3 invoices, and organizing my day. This year alone, I've hired at least 1 new employee full of honor and integrity, as well as purchased at least 1 new business. I experience joy each day knowing that what I am doing is being of service to others and to myself. I am a disciplined, confident, responsible, organized, laser-focused, punctual, intelligent, and powerful leader of action. I am a worthy, deserving, desirable, beautiful man that is open to receive all that has been given to me and more. I am a happy, healthy, fit, 185-pound man that joyfully works out at least 3 times per week, and my blood flows through my veins freely. As a result of my genuine efforts and my willingness to do what I said I would do when I said I would do it, I am now experiencing unparalleled freedom, gratitude, and personal fulfillment. I'm enjoying the remarkable pleasure of excellent health, free time, and traveling when and where I want. I relax and enjoy my time off because my business is effectively and profitably managed while I'm away. I have set up a blessing fund over and above my regular contributions, saved over $20,000 this year while simultaneously completing all repairs to my home, and everything has been resolved in my favor. I am now envisioning daily and planning and organizing my plans to have a net worth of at least $1 million by my 51st birthday, June 3rd, 2020, and exponentially increasing from there, to live a life of unparalleled abundance, health, travel, adventure, financial independence, and love. This must happen. This will happen. I expect it to happen, and I thank you, God, for it is done.
It is done.
It is done.
It's done.
Outstanding. So let me read something to you, and afterwards we're going to play a recording that I did with Derek yesterday on what this statement has done for 3 or 4 people in his organization, and one who was personally mentored by Alan. And what you'll begin to understand is that the same hammer that shatters the glass forges the steel. It's an old Russian proverb. And essentially it means that we grow through adversity. Do not make adversity anything other than a learning experience, because adversity is what makes you grow. If you're feeling comfortable, you're not growing. If you're feeling fear, you're growing. So I wrote this down yesterday, and it says, formulate and stamp indelibly on your mind a mental picture of yourself as succeeding. Hold this picture tenaciously. Never permit it to fade. Your mind will seek to develop this picture. Never think of yourself as failing. Never doubt the reality of the mental image. That is most dangerous, for the mind always tries to complete what it pictures. So always picture success, no matter how badly things seem to be going at the moment. Now, one of the things you probably noticed is that both Toby and Brent closed their eyes as they did their statement. And that's what Napoleon Hill says in the chapter on desire. See yourself in possession of the things that you want. Developing a money consciousness is essential to success. And you'll notice that our statement is all in the present tense. It doesn't focus totally on money. It incorporates everything that we know about the human mind today, in terms of that the mind does not know the difference between a real and imagined event. We also know that even a lie repeated often enough becomes the truth. Or as Cary Grant, that famous actor, said, I have played Cary Grant so long that I don't know how to be anybody other than Cary Grant, because he wasn't Cary Grant. And so this is a recording. It's about 30 minutes long. I encourage you all to listen to it. And for those of you that are on the call only, if you will message me on, if you will post, I'll set up if you go to the Think and Grow Rich website and you will post your name, just say yes, in the comments section of the post for this site. It says Saturday call. I will message you a link to either Dropbox or Google Drive where you can have a copy of this powerful, powerful MP3. And when you're done with this, you'll understand why it's an audio that you'll want to listen to again and again and again until it becomes part of your dominant thoughts in your conscious mind. So with that in mind, let me go ahead and start this audio, because it is about 30 minutes long, but believe me, it is well worth it.
Good morning, everybody. This is Derek Bentley, and I'm calling from my living room after just getting back from the beach in Playa del Rey, California. Thinking about what would be the best thing to because of the definite main purpose statement. So I thought I would share the results of what the statement does to your life and why and what's up with the statement. Why is it that we're talking about this statement like it's such a big deal? Like, why the statement? Well, I have a couple guests on the line who I thought we'd share with everyone their experience of how it's touched their lives. That is not going to serve everything. The main vision is who you become in the process, and that is the beautiful. My first guest I have on the line, her name is Norma Ashley, and Norma is from Oregon. And Norma, tell us a little bit about yourself. And morning, Norma. Good morning. Please tell us, Norma, what has happened? What has the statement done for you with meeting Alan and traveling on the motor coach? And because a lot of people, they go, when I first heard about that motor coach, I was like, oh, there's no way I'm getting on that thing. And then what happened, and all of that is just a story. It comes from the fear of the unknown. Once you get to be with Alan and you get to get personal coaching and mentoring from him, everything changes instantly. So what was your experience as you were being, mentored by Alan? Because you had an amazing experience with him, I remember, while you were working on your statement. I did. And, I had been doing my statement for a year before that. I had been to, some event where it had been talked about. My friend Mary Helen Beveridge had really encouraged me and had actually helped me write my statement. And I had read it aloud once in a while, kind of a thing. I wouldn't say I was even reading it aloud daily at the time. And there was already a few changes that had happened just because I was reading it aloud once in a while. And then I made the choice to get on the motor coach. And wow, I was scared. I didn't know what to expect. Just knew that I needed to be there, that I needed that experience. Got on and started, I think the first night, Alan started working with me on doing my statement. About 2 o'clock in the morning, we're in deep fog driving. We'd started in Washington, in Renton, and we were driving, I believe, to San Francisco. And so about 2 o'clock in the morning, Alan is driving, and I'm the co-pilot, and Alan is working with me on my statement, and it is totally amazing. And he's telling me to put words in there like sexy, that I'm just going, no, I'm just not going to do that. That's not who I am. I don't need that. I don't. But I listened, and I put it in my statement, and some other things in my statement that I said, no way, I don't think I can say that. I'm not going to say that aloud. I'll say it to myself. And then I did start saying it on the coach, as everybody on the coach was really encouraging me, and it has been life-changing since I have started doing my statement, and now I do it at least every day, at least 6 times a day, and often I can get in more times than that. My friends have started coming back to me saying, you're different. I don't quite know what it is about you, but you've really changed. Right. And my very, very close friend, whom I get massage from, I see her every week. I'm either giving her a massage or I'm receiving a massage from her. About a month and a half after I had been on the motor coach, she came back to me and she said, I've got to tell you, you are so different. You're fun to be around now. When I used to know, before you started doing this statement stuff, you were not always so much fun. It kind of brings me down to be around you. And now when I'm around you, I feel uplifted and I feel really good. And that kind of stuff, I can feel it for myself, but when people start noticing and telling me, it has a really big impact. So tell me about that. How has that made a difference for you, Norma? I am not as afraid afraid to talk to people. I'm not saying that I am being mega successful and I'm not, really out there, getting the blue diamond right away. It's gradual. It's happening in little pieces. But I started noticing, I went down to the coast this week. I was in the hot tub, and I was able to talk to people. I was able to listen to what was going on with them rather than worrying about how I was being perceived. When I get in spots where I start going through all of the, oh my gosh, I'm not good enough kind of stuff, I can just say my self-confidence formula a couple of times, and it really, I have words in there that I am worthy, I am powerful, and I'm believing it. I'm starting to believe that I have self-confidence and believe that I am worthy, and that's a big deal for me, because that's something I don't think I've ever had in my life, is to be really self-confident, and it's awesome. That's the best I can say. It's an incredible experience to change inside and then have it be perceived from the outside, have other people see it as well.
Okay, that's awesome. What Norma is talking about vision. And that is the power of a statement. A lot of times when we get a statement written for us, we look at our statement, we're like, that's so uncomfortable, or that's not me, I'm not like that. That's the whole point. The whole point is for you to grow into the person that you really are. But we have all these trusted layers of the beliefs of who we are, and we're stuck. The point of a statement is to break the shell, is to break that eggshell and run out of it. And the way to do it is to write in things in your statement that are the opposite of who you are, so you grow into that and you stretch as a person. And as you stretch and grow as a person, you become a leader. You become a way shower. You become this person that people want to be around. You begin to glow. And people just want to be around you, and you don't even know why, and they want to be around you. And that is the beginning of the success. And what Alan's talking about is, are you doing your best? Yes, we all want to be Team Elite. Yes, we like the Team Elite lifestyle. However, the process of getting to the Team Elite is a process of shedding the shell that has corroded us and kept us rusted in this old way of being. And so the statement breaks that. And as it breaks it, you become a co-creator in your business, and you bust out of that, where just things start to flow and start to become effortless. And so, Norma, tell us one thing that made a big difference, and I'm going to go on to our next speaker, but tell us one thing that really made a big difference for you by doing your statement.
One of the words in my statement is powerful. And it's one of the words that I had a reaction to. I didn't particularly want to be powerful. And so I started doing some self-analysis. Okay, so why does this word bother me? What's going on there? And realized that in my mind, powerful meant abusive, meant taking advantage of someone or hurting them in some way. And one of the things that somebody told me is that when I walk into a room and I smile, the whole room lights up. And as I'm doing my statement, one day it just hit me, that's power. To walk into a room and smile and have everyone feel uplifted by it, that's a form of power also, and power doesn't have to be abusive. And that was such an aha moment for me, that A, I have power, have always had power, just didn't realize it, and that power can be a good thing as well.
Well, Norma, thank you. I really so appreciate having you on, and I love seeing you, like I just did at Blue Diamond University. I saw you and I went, wow, you look so different. You look so different, and I'm so happy for you and proud of you of what you're creating in your business. And I wanted to acknowledge nationally, Norma, you. I wanted to be as in Blue Diamond format. Thank you. I know. Yeah, there you go. You see, results. All right, thank you, Norma. Okay, so now my next guest speaker that I have on the line is Mr. Ralph Weir, and Ralph is the kind of person who he actually is the sideline. Ralph is Alan's front line, and has been in the business, and he's going to tell a little bit of his story. But Ralph and I started going back and forth with this thing because we started blasting out our statements 12, 13 times a day. And Ralph's been kind of my buddy in the business as we do these statements, because the shifts that we've noticed only we understand because we've gone so far outside of our box and the miracles that have been happening in our business. And I mean miracles in our business daily. So Ralph, good morning. How are you? Hey, good morning. Good morning, Ralph. Crazy partner doing the statements. Yes, you are. And so tell us a little bit about, for those of you who don't know who you are, and your short story, and then kind of get into, like, just what's going on. Go for it. Okay. I'm Ralph Weir from San Diego, California, and like I said, I'm frontline Alan. I've known him for many years. Been in the business about 7 years. Basically, I had plenty of money when I got into business, and I tinkered with the business for many, many years, and I thought I was actually working it, but I realized after my finances took a dip and went away that I really wasn't working the business, and had a point where I was basically homeless. And so I took it, and this is last year, and so it was kind of a very eye-opening experience, and finally at a point where I ended up being kicked out of my apartment, moved into someone else, kicked out of there because I didn't have any money going, and I didn't know where I was going to go, so I ended up in a friend's house in their backyard, living in a tent. And I remember waking up, it was the first night, and I woke up the next morning going, and it just hit me that, I'm really in gratitude for what I have. And so it was really a great story, great realization, but I think where the statement comes into play is I knew I had to get my heart, my mind straightened out, and so I jumped on a motor coach and rode around the country with Alan and stuff. And one of the things he kept saying to me was, it's all about willingness to change. And so we would actually be doing sit-ups and push-ups while we're bounding down the roads across the country and getting physically in shape. But, and came home and was out taking walks to get exercise, and I realized, hey, why don't I do my statements? So I started doing my statement out loud, walking down the streets and with a piece of paper, because I didn't have it memorized at the time, and people would look at me and someone had mentioned, are you practicing for a play or something? And I said, no, this is my goals. Anyway, I realized one day when I was doing my statements a couple times, I don't know, just this little thought came to me. It was like, well, if I do my statement twice a day and I'm getting minimal results, why don't I do it more? And so I started saying the statement out loud, 4 or 5, 6 times a day. And I remember having a realization that kind of a feeling of a joy came over me, like I hadn't felt in a long time. And I knew that I was in the right place, or that I was moving in the right direction. And then I started doing it more and more and more, and building it up to 12 and 13 times a day, saying it very rapidly over and over again. And things are changing. I met a guy online who was a Vietnamese consulate general for business into Vietnam. He signed up. My sister-in-law, my brother, who had been resisting coming to the business for 7 years since the beginning. We stopped and saw them down in Texas. She came on the bus, signed up, did an LOI, and she said she saw a difference in my eye. She saw a difference in how I was being. And I said it was a statement. She saw a sparkle in my eye. And then I've had people along the way, and people show up to my life who I'm working with right now who are amazing. Just I'm putting cards on my door and things like that are just, a lady owns a franchise for a moving spa in an RV kind of a thing. All kinds of results. I'm out in the middle of Oregon and somebody stops by to a meeting and she was interested in what it was and I ended up showing her the spa and she ends up buying one and signing up right there. I don't know how many more should I go into, but I think the thing is, Ralph, that what have you felt? Tell us about what you vision while you're saying your statement. How do you do it? Because I was talking with someone earlier about how they say their statement this morning, and they kind of rip through the numbers because they try to say it as fast as they can. And that's actually not the right way to do your statement. The way to do your statement is to embody a feeling in your solar plexus of abundance and success. And it's an expansive feeling where it begins, your heart expands, and then you're visioning your dreams as you say it and how you feel. So how are you saying it when you do it? It's interesting as I would say it. What happened, because I really believe in what you're saying. It's really valid. What I've noticed is when I was saying it, because I was getting bored because that's what I started saying it faster and faster. My conscious mind got bored. And so I was like, well, I want to get through this. But yet what I realized for myself is the more I said it, I was actually connecting with my subconscious. And then I had flashes. I'd be walking along and whatever, and I'd had flashes of my dream, my goal would come to me. And I'd feel it. And it was like amazing feeling. And that's kind of how it's happened for me. And okay, so let me get this straight, just so I'm clear. Okay, so basically, because your story is just will go down in history. You were basically, if I'm understanding you correctly, what you're telling me is that you were at one point homeless. You were living in a tent. You didn't even have the money to even like get online, and somehow you figured out how to get online, and you found someone online that is a consulate for the United States government who builds business in Vietnam, and now Alan's building a downline in Vietnam for you. Is that right? Yeah, he was actually the consul general for Vietnam, for U.S. business into Vietnam. So he actually wanted to introduce Vietnam, or new skin into Vietnam back in 2006, and he wasn't available then. So we connected, and then they signed up right away, and they've referred us to some people and that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, Alan has met with some of the people over there and that kind of stuff, and they're very excited about what's going on. Wow. So, yeah, I had no phone. I had no money for phone, no money for gas for the car, for me to do the business. But I said, well, what can I do? And get on my computer, and I started going on, websites and stuff. And I knew that I had to just keep looking for solutions. I couldn't do demos or meet people, but what could I do? That's all I was kept thinking to myself, what could I do? And to stay positive and focused, because it's easy to fall into, for me and what I can't do and I guess I got to get a job or, that's important to have money and stuff. But I was unwilling to relent to the circumstance. Ralph, I love your story. Tell us what it's been like for you to go from, I don't have the money for this, I don't have the money for, because now I hear excuses from everybody. I hear, hey, I can't afford to do the business, I can't afford a spa, I can't afford blah blah blah, and yet you're rich. You have every people. You have food, you have shelter, you've got clothes. You're telling me you were homeless, living in a tent, and that you broke that chain and then discovered how to come from abundance and discovered how to consciously create what it is that you don't have by visioning what it is that you want. And then it actually attracted this guy who called you. Right. He called you. Right. Wow. Tell that breakthrough because I remember you telling me you didn't have money for a phone, and Alan kept saying, Ralph, you're going from less to less to less to less, and start seeing more to more to more to more. Remember he talked about that? Can you share that with the people on the phone? Well, it comes down to comes in a four-letter word called faith, and really having that, and it's something that's believing in something that's sight unseen. And so I just stayed in faith, and not that it was easy. Let me tell you, when you're looking for change and to find coins to buy food with, in the back seat of the car or in the trunk or whatever, to that point, and yeah, I had my battles with it. My goodness, between the years is where it was, and I just decided that, I'm not going to give up and that I'm going to move forward. And, I just knew the path that I was doing wasn't working. So I had to kind of like pick it up and try something different, do something different. And, no phone to call people, no gas in the car. And so I just said, what can I do? And that's all I kept doing. I know that I can do this. I know that, that I have this faith that I can do this. Don't know what it will look like, but I'm just going to keep fighting and keep moving. And, and I understand the excuses. I run into myself for my own self, and I run into other people's excuse. And, the crazy part is that it's not necessary. I think doing a statement really has given me power for myself is, I don't need to have excuses anymore. All I need to do is focus on what I want and keep saying and striving for what I want, and just believing that I can have it happen. I guess that faith comes into play again. Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, Ralph, yes, you did, Ralph, and I'm so grateful to have you. I thoroughly enjoy our conversations because we talk about, actually, Ralph and I get to talk about the miracles that happen in our daily life because of what the statement does. And it's a process of surrendering to the statement. And at first, when you first say your statement, when you first start saying it, it's going to sound false. It's not going to be real. Alan told me that it's not going to feel real for 2 years. And how long have you been saying your statement for? And then how long until it started to really kick in for you? I would say it started really doing it probably November. And it was funny. It didn't take long. That's when I realized that things started probably in a couple weeks. I'm saying it consistently every day. I mean, with passion, on fire, and that kind of stuff. So it didn't really take me very long. And, okay, well, Eric, I just thought of something I want to throw in there real quick. Sure. That Alan, when I was on the road with him, he was doing his weekly call, or daily call, and we're in the living room with these people in Oregon, and he asked me to get on, and he wanted me to tell my story. And this is really fresh at that point. And I said to him, do you want me to tell the whole story? He goes, yes. So here I am telling people all over the country, around the world, whatever, that I'm homeless and living in tents and and all these things. And it was like my pride was there. And it was like, what are people, this is all went through my mind. What are people going to think? What are they going to say? Family, friends, possible new distributors and customers and all this.
Is it me?
Are you there, Ralph? I don't know if his phone dropped or not. But what's happening is that Ralph started talking about a story, and I remember every time he would tell it, he would cry. Because it was deeply, deeply personal. And so there's an element of the statement that you must come from, and he was so there, that's why it exploded for him. You have to come from gratitude. There's a key element. There's abundance flow in a grateful heart. So that is very, very powerful while saying the statement. And it's very clearly written, I'm so happy and grateful. And those two feelings, happiness and gratefulness, fuel the statement. It is a formula. Like oil and water, they don't mix. Gratitude and happiness are a formula for stirring your heart. And when you stir your heart, it expands. So is that you, Ralph? Well, he'll probably come back on, but I just want to share this with everybody, and then I'll wrap for the call. We'll wrap early. That the statement is the most powerful thing that I have ever done in my life and in my business. And honestly, my story, having lost $2 million of real estate and lost 5 homes across the country, I lost the home I was living in, filed for bankruptcy while doing my new skin business. Why do I tell you that? I share that story because in the process of being stressed, not knowing how to handle the bills, but the statement gave me a clarity of a vision. And having a clear mental picture of what it is that you want, and having a burning desire, the white heat of desire. The reason why I started so quickly for Ralph is because he had a white heat burning desire. And if you've got to make you living homeless in a tent to wake it up, that'll do it. You hear Sean Brady losing his downlines in Australia, traveling around the world, that will wake up a white heat desire in your heart. So to get the white heat desire lit, you don't have to go through those circumstances. You can say the statement, but you must say it with full passion, and you must say it with full vigor. And it means abounding passion, beyond what you know, beyond what you know. And as you say it, beyond what you know, because I promise you, there's going to come times in your business that you're going to get bucked off the horse. And the fastest way to get back on the horse is to say your statement as many times as possible until you feel like you're on top of the world. And in the process of doing that, you'll learn how to say the statement. It happened to me. I flew to Texas for one salon that said that they were going to launch the area. I flew all the way to Texas to go to this one event. I did the event, and the guy was so upset. He was so upset that his wife, who also worked at the salon, and his daughter, and the 9 girls who were there were so happy about this new galvanic thing. He was upset that they liked what I had so much that he didn't buy anything, and I wasted a whole trip flying to Texas, and he kicked me out of the salon. Meanwhile, his wife is frustrated why he's so upset, and that like I'm some salesman or something, but he thought it was going to take away from his salon business. And it was a whole funny thing. So what happened was I was so upset that on my 2-hour drive from Corpus Christi, Texas, back to the, I think it was San Antonio, Texas airport, I was blasting my statement like a full blast. I was so upset. I remember I called all my friends. I couldn't believe it. I called Jim Hazelton, and I was just talking to him for like half an hour. So the thing is, say it with passion, say it with vigor, and miracles will come in your life. And then you will begin to expect miracles in your business. And then you will expect success. You will actually expect it. And Alan talks about that all the time. Success is nothing more than a string of successful days. And you will actually expect to be successful in your business. You have to have a knowingness that you're going to be successful. Just know that is the beginning of the creative faculty. That is the formula, that knowingness, and being happy and grateful.
Okay. Some very powerful stuff in terms of somebody who had a great deal of adversity in their life, and he was able to turn it around. Now, let me put this out there. By no means am I promoting Nu Skin. I am not a distributor for Nu Skin. That's Derek's business and Alan's business. But I take the stories because they're applicable to any area of life, any business, whether you work for corporate America or whatnot. Alan is a unique individual in that he had the honor and privilege of being mentored and tutored by Joseph Green, who was one of 3 people that was mentored by Napoleon Hill. And so he had the privilege of not only being mentored by Napoleon, but he worked for him until he retired the second time. He originally retired once, and Mr. W. Clement Stone, who was considered to be Napoleon Hill's best student, he took an investment of $100 and created a multi-billion-dollar insurance company. And he brought Mr. Hill out of retirement in the late 50s and paid him $1.5 million a year for 10 years to bring his knowledge of Think and Grow Rich personally to his own sales force, which numbered in the thousands. And Mr. Clement Stone had found Napoleon Hill, the book Think and Grow Rich, when another salesman handed it to him and said, "This will change your life." And that gentleman's name was Marcus Pincus. And he read the book and he said, "Oh my God." And he immediately took action and he applied the success formula that's found in the chapter on desire. And he immediately bought hundreds of copies and handed it out. At that time, he only had 1,000 salespeople throughout the United States, and he handed it to all his salespeople. And as he said, his sales quadrupled. They just went out of this world from people being exposed to this important message in the book. As Alan has told me, Think and Grow Rich is a personal development seminar in a book. It covers everything you need to know. And what I want you all to get from this call is the power of the statement. This statement is no joke. Now, I have a couple of people from the mastermind call, so I wonder if I might be able to just pick on 1 or 2 who have had some experience in manifesting success as a result of the statement. Now, Toby, I know you were the first one on the call, and I know you're back in your office. You're not at the gym anymore? Okay. Would you mind sharing with us what happened with the that investment group and also manifesting that thing with the sitting on the board? You're muted, so I'll have to unmute you. I don't know if, yeah, you can mute. Okay, I unmuted you. So go ahead if you be so kind. You're unmuted.
Thanks. I do have a little bit of background noise today. We got about 2,000 videos walking through the lab that's just on the other side of the wall over here today for our program at school. But so I guess the couple things that happened all in 1 week, actually. This was probably about a month ago now. But we're trying to buy some commercial real estate. We're looking at a bunch of different things. And one of the items in my statement is that I want to become a member of the board of trustees at the university where I went to school and where I actually currently work. And all in 1 week, I had contacted somebody about a property that I knew that we couldn't afford to buy. It wasn't really the right property for us, but I just wanted to go take a look at it. And so as we were walking through the property, it's a $5 million, 44,000 square foot mill building in just adjacent to the university campus. And as we were walking through the property, I explained to the seller, if I did buy it, these are the things that I would do. And this is how we would move one of our existing companies. We would move that into part of the space, and then that company would interact with one of the other tenants, and it would be a good synergy. And I just talked about sort of the vision that I had for the building, even though I knew that I couldn't really perform on that, at least not without bringing in several partners and things like that. And by the time we had finished the walkthrough of the building, he had offered me at no cost a 25% share in the building if we would move our company there and go through those actions. The same week, I reached out to the existing chairman of the board of trustees for the university, and we had about a 45-minute phone call where we made a plan that would get me selected to be on the board. And it all just from reaching out, making one phone call. So that all happened, and I never would have made that phone call if it wasn't for the belief that I had, that I generated by doing the statement every day, by reading the self-confidence formula every day, and by being part of this group. So those are just 2 things that happened that week. But it's been an amazing ride. Within the first week of joining this group, I had doubled my income. So
how long have you been in the private mastermind group? The next
Private mastermind group since I think about February this year, beginning of February, end of January.
so February to March, March to April, April to May, May to June. So 4 months roughly, huh?
4 months.
And are you, have I coached you in this call? Have I said to you anything that would be untrue or unethical?
Certainly nothing untrue or unethical. It's been
number 5. Right.
You have certainly also coached me and everyone else. And when we need a spanking, we get a spanking. And we need encouragement, we get encouragement. I see Karen is nodding, and so is Brett nodding on the phone there. So it's been a great ride, and it was through watching one of these Saturday calls that I actually decided to join the group. We'd been talking about it for maybe a month before that. And that my biggest concern before joining the group was whether or not I would be able to commit enough of myself in order to be an active participant and to be able to contribute back to the group. I wasn't so much worried about whether the group would help me, but whether I would be able to contribute. And I spent about a month deciding, and then I decided that I had to step up and do it. Thanks very much, Bert, for the opportunity to talk and to share.
We appreciate that. And let me ask you this, because we do have some other incredible individuals, and my reason for mentioning the mastermind group is, as I've explained to some people, is originally I did this, except the mastermind, the way it's currently structured. This is basically structured along the way that Alan and Derek do it, and they've had incredible success. Alan's been doing this now for almost 35 years. He's trained over 300,000 people in the statement. The bus is, what Alan does is, Alan is not a monkey personality. Alan is a dolphin. And so Alan has had to temper his dolphinness to become more of a monkey and a lion. But he is still a monkey, and he loves to give people. So many times, like he took the lady on the call, and by the way, if you're a woman, I would encourage you strongly to put the word powerful as one of your I ams into your statement. And it can't hurt the guys either. If you notice, I say in my self-confidence formula, I am a self-reliant, strong, powerful, confident, and successful man of action. I added it there. But what he'll do is he'll take somebody new or somebody that he feels he wants to work with, because he can't work with everybody. There's only so many hours in the day. So Alan is a rock star. Alan makes $1.5 million. He's got $100 million of real estate. He's getting ready to retire because his youngest son is now taking over his business, and his income is generational. He's covered for at least 5 generations. In history, there's always one person in the family tree. If you look back at the Rockefeller family tree, prior to Rockefeller, there was nobody. And then there was John D. And now everybody from that family changed. Same thing with the Kennedys. One man made the difference, okay, and changed the entire family tree forever because of their accomplishments. They were willing to overcome adversity. They were willing to do whatever it takes to succeed. And what does it really take? It takes a focus on a definite goal. And I want you, when these people say their statement, I want you to get the sincerity, the conviction, the belief in the statement and how powerful this is. And unfortunately, nobody ever taught this. Everybody's read Think and Grow Rich, but nobody really does this the way that Alan has taught it to me and Derek, and I have passed it on to everybody else as part of my contribution. And so there's incredible success stories in the group going on all the time. People that were unemployed that got 5 job offers. I don't know if Albert is on the call, but if you're still on the call, Albert, would you just share with us your story real quickly? You have to unmute yourself first. I don't know if I can unmute you because I don't know your number. Okay. All right, maybe he's not on the call. So let's see. Karen, can I pick on you? Yes? Okay. Would you just share with the group how long have you been in the mastermind group? I think you were right there in the beginning back in December or January when we started. And
that's right.
Would you just share with them what has been the effects of being in the mastermind group and and the results of this, doing your statement every day out loud the way that we have been taught to do?
Well, first I'm going to say something that someone on the call said. The woman on the call said, you know, people notice that I'm different. People see that I'm different. And, you know, my friends are like, wow, what's up with you? I have always been attached to my job, and I've always believed that I just have to work. And even though I have attempted MLMs and other options, I've always believed in the end I better just get the next job. And so this year, as my job's coming to an end, I have such fortitude. I've cashed out my savings. I'm buying an RV. I'm going to Chicago. I think I'm going to take the RV to Florida. I think then I'll come back. I have the feeling of freedom that I fucking say every goddamn day in my statement. And I feel it and I believe it with every fiber of my being. And when I doubt it, which, you know, emotions happen, things happen, I say my statement and I say the self-confidence formula until I get it. And I'm on a roll. You know, I'm not exactly sure what's next, but I have wanted freedom. Oh, good. Albert's on the call if you saw that. And that's what I have, and I have just all the confidence to go with it. And I can't add powerful to I didn't think I could add powerful to my statement, but I do think I could add that I'm a gently powerful goddess, and because I can be a goddess still. So I'm going to add that into my statement somewhere.
Awesome. And, you know, if we go back about a year or so, you weren't in the greatest place in the world at that time, were you?
You know, there was two components that I want to say that I did. First of all, there was multiple tragedies, and they were tremendous, and they were really horrible. So I was in a bad place. And then every time I started, you know, 4, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and God damn it if something else horrible didn't happen. And there's some of them included violence, some of them included death. You know, they weren't light, you know, so I was in a terrible place. And thank God some guy named Bert just reached out and said, okay, what's going on with you? You know, I don't want to hear it, but and you sent me some texts that I don't know how responsive I was, but that I read and I reread and I reread and I followed and I stuck with. And then as I started to heal and be able to, you know, get past the tragedies, what I had to do in my self-confidence formula, I know through the principle of autosuggestion, any thought or desire I persistently hold in my mind will seek expression through some practical means of obtaining the object back of it. And I release all thoughts I do not wish physical expression of. I said that for a good year, and now I've been able to release that now from the self-confidence formula. But then I saw, as I started to heal, the lifetime of negative autosuggestion. I was the child that had constant emotional incidences, so that from the first thing I remember, I was about 2.5, all my childhood was filled with this happened and this happened and this happened, and all through my adulthood. And I realized that through the law of attraction, which is what all information is based on, and the law of autosuggestion, that nothing but bad incidences could keep coming to me unless I changed the way I thought. And it hit me like autosuggestion. When we first did the chapter on autosuggestion for 30 days, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and it changed my life. I'm done.
I have Jim on the call. Jim, would you share with us?
Yeah,
how long you've been with
sure.
the mastermind?
Am I unmuted?
Yep, you're
Am I unmuted?
Yep.
Awesome. I think I came in, good morning, everybody. I think I came in some point when the mastermind got started.
I couldn't even tell you. I look at it like a God thing. I just think I saw some of Bert's post through a friend of a friend or something. You know how stuff gets in your news feed? And I don't know if back then you were paying for likes or not, but it's probably been, well, a long time. So I kind of followed the templates and did some rough drafts of a statement. I started slow. You know, I didn't start on fire, but I was excited. And it gave me a kind of a momentum and a faith, because let me tell you that the folks in the group, there was a certain kind of energy and a force, along with Bert leading the group and others in the group. There was a kind of an energy and a force that I felt as I read post, and as I kept practicing reading Think and Grow Rich, and then these guys were doing 30 days of this, 30 days of that, and in order to develop new habits. And I usually had generally good habits. Martial arts has given me the discipline to grind things out, but this was a different level, and it affected me mentally, and I think like on a deep level of spirit. And so I started changing my psyche as I got my first draft together. I started reading my statement to the best of my ability, drive it in with emotion, pounding on my chest, waving my hand in the air, and that kind of stuff. And it was a subtle change in me that started giving me a certain motivation and mindset to, as Karen was saying, everybody has negativity, and and then I've learned recently about your first 5 years of your life, some of the negativity gets etched onto your brain, and I had some of that coming out, but this was different. This kind of it overpowered any negativity that was programmed in me at childhood. It started subtly changing my whole mindset and a new level of motivation in order to succeed and win at life. And I'm not necessarily meaning, I'm better than losers or anything like that. I just mean that my whole psyche changed and motivation toward the positive. Now, this lines up a lot with my martial arts principles, too, which is a blessing. Those of you that don't know me, I own a martial arts school. And our whole, journey is about positivity, confidence, discipline, tons of positive principles. So it helped me on a personal level. I was kind of neglecting my significant other, Carly, by just grinding. I've always been a hard worker, and I was putting in 12, 14-hour days, and our relationship suffered. And, a smart woman will let you know that. And so, and Bert and I had some calls over it, and, and I took some of his suggestions, and then I changed my statement and added Carly into it in a positive light. We took a vacation, too. That helped. And I tell you, man, our whole relationship has transformed. I've got a new level. Recently, I've got a new level of confidence that I can't explain. It's just like a gut level of confidence that I still have humanly fears, but my confidence level supersedes my fears, and I can easily and effortlessly, as my statement said, walk through those things. And so we recently have bought a new house, like a dream house. We're closing on August the 8th. I got a new car. My truck was totaled. I didn't even care about the truck. I just cared that I was grateful that I walked away from the accident. And my finances are a lot better. The systems, this has motivated me to put together better systems to monitor and to organize my business. And so that's helped immensely. My goals are set in place. I read them daily, many times. I'm getting ready to go to the gym. I'm going to get a couple more sets in. in the car on the way to the gym, and it's like what we, man, that is loud. It's like what we call in the martial arts. It's like the black belt secret to life. It really, you know, I don't know why they don't teach this stuff in school. It's beyond my understanding. Wow, that's loud. So it's specialized knowledge catered for you, for your life, that will make you skyrocket to a better quality of life for you and those around you. And I completely recommend this way of life, the Think and Grow Rich mastermind group, taking the suggestions that we do and practicing them daily. And you'll see amazing transformations.
Jim,
okay, man, I'll pass.
What martial arts do you hold a black belt in?
I hold a black belt in a mixed martial art. It's called American Jiu-Jitsu, and then I hold a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that took me 17 years to get.
Okay. I've got 9 years in, and I'm still at purple, so I got to get my ass.
That's right. That's awesome.
And here's the thing. My son hit brown belt in less than 6 years. That's what happens when you're not an old fart, right?
Right.
And he doesn't have any more time than I do. Actually, I have more time than him now.
Right.
You know, here's a shameless plug, even though you never asked me to do this. But where are you located? And if they want to start doing something for their health and fitness, and at the same time learn an incredible and beautiful martial arts, which is called Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, but that is a trade. Right. So we have to call it Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's the same thing I've seen all the ultimate fighters use when they go on the ground. It is the most effective martial art in the world. I had a guy in Vegas approach me, try to punch me. I took him down to the ground, and in 30 seconds, I choked him out with a blood choke. And security could not get me off of him because I had grapevined his butt really tight, and they would have to pick up my weight plus his, and you know what that's all about. You know, and I'm always surprised when people, you know, attempt to intimidate me, because my goal is never about that I may get hurt, but that I really don't want to hurt them. And that's why I learned a martial art that doesn't necessarily need me to punch somebody or hurt somebody in order to neutralize their attack. And so I encourage everybody. I mean, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo. I wrestled for 8 years, and I love Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. And I've trained Enzo and Hoist, Taylor, and I wanted to train with, I don't want to train with Horian, but I did want to train with the best Gracie in the world.
Man, you're up in Henzo's neighborhood.
Yeah, yeah. I went to his school a couple of times, but man, did he have some guys that were just, these guys are training like 30 hours a week. I mean, I just.
Oh, they're professional animals. I mean,
yeah. What changed my game in jiu-jitsu, we're going to do this real quick because I don't want to talk about jiu-jitsu. I could talk all day. Is I started training with Hoyler, and I started adding judo to my repertoire. And all of a sudden, these guys couldn't get me off cross side. They couldn't pass my guard. And, you know, they used to call me butter guard because they could just go through my guard like it was butter. And all of a sudden, I turned the tide on that one real quick. But anyway, I encourage everybody that wants to get a copy of the audio and a link to this replay to just go. There's a comment in the Think and Grow Rich group, or there's one in the Think and Grow Rich community. Just type in yes so that I can send it to you through Messenger. If you'd like to know more about the mastermind group and how you can join this incredible powerhouse group of people that are committed to achieving their goals and changing their lives forever with something that truly, truly works. This is not motivation. This is about changing your habits, changing your internal programming through the use of all the principles that Mr. Hill cataloged and indexed. In 1927, he wrote the book, Laws of Success. 1927 or 1925, I forget. And in 1939, he wrote, and all the way back, he studied the individual who had, sorry, I had to mute a few people. He interviewed 500 of the most powerful individuals who started out with absolutely nothing, no education, no money, no family background. And then he interviewed in total 25,000 people because Mr. Carnegie directed him and said, not only must you study the wealthy, you must study the failures, the unsuccessful, so that you can see what principles they did not apply to their lives. This is not about 500 of the wealthiest people. This is about 500 of the people that got their lives together because they understood of the power of having a definite main purpose and of having persistence and faith in yourself. You heard it from Ralph. You heard it from Karen. This is the science of belief. And you start out by believing in yourself and in your own abilities. So we're a little bit over time. I thank everybody for being on the call. Again, go on to the event, the post on the group, type in yes, and I'll send you a link not only to this audio that Derek had with Ralph on it and the young lady, but also I'll send you a link to the replay so that you can share this. I would encourage you to share this with everybody because this message really needs to get out there. This is not about motivation. I'm not giving you a swift kick in the ass and telling you go, 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 go. I'm giving you tools that you can use every day. And that means that you have to formulate a clear mental picture of the things you want in life. And in the Think and Grow Rich group, that's the first thing we do. We did that with everybody. And everybody will tell you that, you know, they are clear. So thank you again very much for your time. And we will see you on next Saturday's call, or hopefully I'll talk to you soon. Reach out to me. Have a great day, everybody.
Thanks so much, Bert.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Bert.
She catches her reflection, then she throws the mirror to the floor. Her image is distorted, screaming, is it worth it anymore?